Once upon a time, there was a group of students from Santa Teresa High School who had Mr. Caldies Econ class. One extremely hot day, they all just got out of school and were very thirsty. They all decided to go to Nob Hill and get a drink.
Buying power. The quantity of goods and services a person can buy with a given amount of money.
You're watching WHTN, ABC 27. Now, live from the station working for you. This is ABC 27 News, live at 5.
If your income is still thriving during this economic slowdown, your money can actually go further, especially on big ticket items. Consumer reporter Dennis Bruderball has that story. Dennis.
Hi, Val. Yeah, it really is all about buying power. And when business is bad, it can be good for you.
I'm calling to discuss your account today.
As a member of the Pennsylvania Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Tammy Noel Russo of Middletown knows a thing or two about money.
There are opportunities out there, and it is not all doom and gloom, and I'm very positive on the resiliency of the American economy.
We hear that from consumers, too.
I think people are getting by, and I think people are doing not well, but they're doing okay.
The biggest consumer savings right now are on big ticket items. A good example is the local housing market. Most homes are selling right now for at least 20% less than a comparable home 1 year ago.
It's a great area where if somebody is in the market for a house and they have a stable job and they feel confident, this would be a great time to buy a home.
That's on already existing homes. Custom construction is not showing as much saving. She says great deals can be found on new cars from American manufacturers. Since business is off about 35% or so on some new vehicles, offers that dealers would refuse 1 year ago are now being accepted.
Some of the cashback discounts and incentives may be enough to entice some local people here to buy a car.
And she says, don't forget about furniture. There's never been a better time to buy furniture during the last 10 years.
It's definitely an area where you can negotiate a certain amount and that we're not familiar with doing.
And there are also some great deals now on luxury items too, things like boats and jewelry. Val?
Thank you, Dennis.
Demand fairy. What's demand?
Demand. Quantities of a particular good or service that consumers are willing and able to buy at different prices at a particular time. Law of demand. An inverse relationship between the quantity demand and the price of a product.
You might want a product, which means you are willing to buy it. However, if you don't have the money to buy it, you are not able to. Only consumers who are willing and able to buy the product affect the demand for that product. To show the effects on demand, you would use a prices and quantities graph. Prices are shown on the vertical axis and quantity is shown on the horizontal axis. A demand line slopes downward to the right when someone is willing and able to buy more of a product at lower prices than at higher prices. Many things can affect the demand of certain products, like weather and availability of complementary goods.
Complementary goods. Products that are often used together.
So, is there like a higher demand for like hot beverages in the wintertime than cold beverages?
Definitely very high demand in the wintertime. Definitely, demand is huge. People come crawling over the counters for their hot drinks in the winter. They like throw punches and yell.
Oh really?
Yeah, our sales for our frappuccinos start to decline in October, and from then on out, it's all hot drinks.
So what does that have to do with that?
Well, both of you just demonstrated demand. Nandi, you were willing and able to buy a soda, and Cazhmir, you weren't. Many things have to do with demand. Come on, I'll show you. Well, diminishing personal value affects demand.
Yeah, isn't that when people value some kind of activities over others?
Yeah, say when someone decides to save money on gas
to go to school rather than go out and buy something like cereal? Well, that's a perfect example of diminishing personal value.
Diminishing personal value. Buying less important products to save money for more important products.
Some examples of diminishing personal value are gas prices and driving. Since gas prices are pretty high nowadays, people don't like to drive everywhere unless they really have to. By diminishing their personal values, they can drive less and save their money. This means that people will have to stop driving around for fun and only drive if they really have to.
Yeah, but I learned something today.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, wanna go get food? It just don't taste good anymore.
Why not?
Well, because like after the 10th one, they just weren't satisfied.
Diminishing marginal utility. The point reached when an additional unit of a product consumed is less satisfying than the one before.
How many times do you play your favorite song before you get tired of it? This behavior is a good example of your diminishing marginal utility. You might even get to the point where you can't stand to hear the song again. At this point, the song does not satisfy you at all. Diminishing marginal utility helps to explain why lower prices are sometimes used to increase the quantity demanded by an individual consumer.
Hey, what's in that bag?
Oh, it's a homemade sandwich, a substitute for eating out because prices are too high.
Booyah.
Substitutes. A good or service that can replace another good or service.
Most things can always be substituted, like packing your own lunch instead of buying a lunch from somewhere else. Using substitutes helps save more of your money so you can buy more important things. Not everything can be substituted or be the best substitute in the world. Like gas, you cannot find a substitute for gas because that's the only product that can go into cars. But you can carpool, take the bus, walk, or bike to your destination. You might not like those substitutes, and it would just be easier to drive your own car.
Any alternatives besides Starbucks?
Yeah.
You can grow your own coffee bean plantation at home.
Okay.
And harvest it and roast it and make your own coffee.
Alright.
And that would be the best way. If Starbucks wasn't around.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know a lot of people that are brown bagging because of price effect.
Yeah.
Hello there! I heard someone mention price effect. Who was it?
Nope, not us.
You silly geese! Whoever said that was a genius. Oh, well in that case, it was me.
Price effect. The inclination of people to buy less of something at higher prices than they would buy at lower prices.
Black Friday is a good example of price effect. Most people go to stores like Target and Walmart to find their products that they need at low prices on a daily basis. On Black Friday, stores are having huge sales where you can buy things that might have been $15 before but now are $7 for that one day or weekend.
Now that you guys know about price effect on individuals, it connects directly to market demand.
And what's market demand?
Market demand. The total of all individual demands in a given market at a particular time.
When individuals buy goods and services in the market, their demands are combined into market demand. Even though people have different individual demand lines, market demand reflects the law of demand.
But I have a question. We've been talking a lot about gas, but what about other products such as milk? Does milk have any sort of special demand to it?
What about soda?
Of course milk has a demand to it. It's called price elasticity of demand. Let's go to the store!
Price elasticity of demand. A measure of the impact of the price effect.
When I raise my price, will my customers be very sensitive to the price increase, cutting back a lot on their purchases? This will be bad for me because I'd lose a lot of revenue. But if I raise my price and my customers only buy a little bit less, not reacting too much to the price increase, this is good. I'd see increased overall revenue. So the crucial issue here is to find out how sensitive my customers will be to a price change. Elasticity is a measure of sensitivity or responsiveness to price. In equation form, the elasticity of demand, or ED, is equal to the percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in price. Because demand exhibits an inverse or negative relationship, elasticity of demand will be a negative number. I use percentage change to measure elasticity rather than absolute change. Let me illustrate why. If I tell you that product price has gone up by $1, this would be the absolute change. Is this a big change or a small change? It depends. What's the product? More to the point, what was the original price? Okay, look, say we're talking about a pack of gum. Originally the price was $1, now it's $2. This represents an absolute change of $1, but is it a big change or a small change? It's actually a pretty big change. Price doubled or increased by 100%. What if we're talking about a textbook rather than a pack of gum? Originally the price was $100, now it's $101. This is still an absolute change of $1, but is it a big change or a small change? In this case, it's a small change. Price has increased by 1%. Bottom line is that we need to know not only the dollar amount of the price change, but also how this compares to where we started. Now, technically, elasticity of demand is the percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in price. The bigger the number, the more people respond to the price. The smaller the number, the less people respond to price. The fact that it takes a relatively large price change to initiate a relatively small quantity demanded reaction. In other words, if the elasticity of demand is less than 1, people don't react much to price changes. They're insensitive to price changes, or their demand is inelastic. Adults tend to have more disposable income, so a price increase affects them less. In addition, the nicotine addiction is likely to be stronger for someone who's been smoking longer. This means that the size of elasticity for adults will be even smaller than the magnitude of the elasticity of demand for youth smokers, indicating a smaller reaction to any price change. One last question for you regarding inelastic demand. If the absolute value of the elasticity of demand is less than 1, that is, people don't respond much to a price change, would you raise your price or lower your price to generate more revenue? Well, the demand for electricity is inelastic. When the price changes, people tend to purchase about the same amount of electricity. We don't like the rate increases, but other than trying to conserve a bit here or there, we continue to consume the electricity. This means that the electric company could raise prices quite a bit and not see very much decrease in the quantity demanded. As a result, total revenue, price per unit times the number of units sold, will increase overall. What if the absolute value of the elasticity had been greater than 1? That would mean that the absolute value of the percent change in quantity demanded over the percent change in price is greater than 1, which could only be true if the size of the quantity change is greater than the size of the price change. So having a value of the elasticity that's greater than 1 indicates a relatively large quantity demanded reaction to a relatively small price change, or demand is elastic.
In economics, demand is the various quantities of something a person is willing and able to buy at many different prices at a particular time. The law of demand is an inverse relationship between the quantity demanded and the price of a product. Prices influence people's behavior. The price effect is the inclination of people to buy less of something at higher prices than they would buy at lower prices. The impact of a change in price on the quantity consumers will buy is the price elasticity of demand. When a small change in price results in a large change in quantity demanded, the price effect is large and the demand is said to be elastic. In this instance, a higher price decreases total revenue, price times quantity demanded. When the price effect is small, demand is inelastic. In this instance, a higher price increases total revenue. The price effect shows that people change the amounts they buy at different prices. A change in demand, however, means that people want to buy different quantities of a product at each and every possible price. A change in demand is represented graphically by a shift of the entire demand line to the right or left. In contrast, the price effect is movement along an existing demand line.
This all relates to economics, and most specifically to demand. We use economics every day, and most of us don't know it. Thanks, Demand Fairy!
What is love? Baby, don't hurt.